In the headlines, Presidential Election Tribunal to deliver judgment live on Wednesday. Federal government meet labor leaders over planned strike. DSS raises alarm over plot to stage violent protest, identifies ringleaders. And away from Nigeria, Gabon coup leader sworn in as interim president. Hello and welcome to Trust News Updates. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for joining. And now the news. The Presidential Election Petition Court, PEFT, is set to deliver judgment live on Wednesday in the petitions of the emergence of Bola Tinubu as the winner of the February 25th presidential election. The Court of Appeal, in a statement signed by its registrar Umar Bangari, confirmed this on Monday, saying the proceedings will be open to live broadcast by interested television stations. The Labour Party LP, the People's Democratic Party PDP, and the Allied People's Movement APM, as well as their presidential candidates, had petitioned the tribunal seeking to nullify the election of President Bola Tinubu as the winner of the 2023 presidential election. Judgment is also being expected at the governorship election tribunals in 25 state, National Assembly, and State Assembly election petitions. Now, joining us via phone call is Rapulo Nduka, the immediate past National Publicity Secretary, Nigerian Bar Association. Mr. Nduka Rapulo, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Now, tribunal judgment will be live on broadcasting stations across the country. Is this the first time at the presidential tribunal level this is happening?
No, this is not the first time. But the good thing is that it is a departure from what we always knew or what we are used to. So I think it's a very good development that the decision and the judgment will be televised for all to see, because this is actually the climax of the entire exercise. The evidence has been, the both parties and all the parties have actually brought their evidence before the court. Now it's for the judges, after evaluating everything, to now give their judgment. So I think it's a very wonderful, thing that it will be televised and everybody will get to see the reasoning of the judges at the same time. So it would.
But why go live though? Because this has been happening. They've been holding their proceedings and everything. But why going live?
Well, I can't really say for the court, but I think that it helps to, one of the bad things that happen whenever judgments are given is that it gives room for a lot of speculation. So when judgments are given, different parties interpret it to suit their own maybe whatever they want people to hear about it. So even with the same judgment, maybe the plaintiffs would, or the petitioners would just give an interpretation to it. The respondents would give a different interpretation to the whole thing. Now, most of the times, it actually creates some chaos in the entire the polity. But I think that if it is televised, everybody will get to hear these things for themselves. I will not need to rely on second-hand information. I wouldn't need to rely on what somebody else told me when I've not even heard the judgment. In Nigeria, we will notice that most of the times people run with maybe a decision of the court that they've never gone through, they've never heard it, they've never read the decision, and they make postulations, say a lot of things based on what they were told happened in court. So I think that the decision to make it live would also help everybody. Everybody will listen to it. Everybody will make up his mind, oh, this is what the court is saying. So I don't need to listen to somebody else give me an analysis of what he feels the judges thought the decision of the court was.
All right.
So I get to hear it for myself.
All right. After this judgment, we understand that parties can also appeal if not satisfied. How long do you think it will take before the judgment will be rendered at the next appellate court?
I know that they have a limited period of time. I don't know the particular period for them to appeal, but they're expected to appeal to the Supreme Court because, well, depending the presidential election, they will be going to the Supreme Court to appeal the judgment if they are not satisfied. And naturally, I don't know if people will be satisfied with the judgment of the Court of Appeal. Most of the times, the typical Nigerian attitude is I want to exhaust every cadre or hierarchy of courts before we get satisfied.
All right, Mr. Rapulo Ndoka, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Now, in the meantime, the new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, has again called on the governorship election petition tribunal in Taraba State to cancel the results of the March 2023 governorship election in the state due to irregularities. Counsel to the NNPP, Ibrahim Ishaku San, made the call at Thursday's sitting of the tribunal. According to Ishaku, the demand is premised on alleged overvoting in some areas of the state, failure of the beavers to accredit voters, as well as violence at the State Coordination Center, which involved gunshots between the army and the police. This, he said, indicated gross irregularities that altered the vote count in favor of the PDP. Although counsel to the People's Democratic Party, Kanu Agabi San, declined comment on the issue, a counsel to INEC, Emeka Okoro, said the petitioners did not provide enough evidence to back the allegation of irregularities.
There were no accreditation in some polling units, which means that if you look at the Beavers report, it will show that accreditation was 0. But when you take the results from such units, you find that there were votes massively for the PDP. Now, if there was no accreditation, how could there be votes? Now, if you go to the next point, there were accreditations quite all right, but then you find that the people that voted were more than the number of people that were accredited, which means that there was overvoting. And now, thirdly, there were some alterations where, for example, you found that the NNPP scored very high votes. They cut it off and then add to PDP's vote.
And the position of INEC is that the petitioners did not do enough to challenge the presumption of regularity that the result enjoys. In addition, the petitioners substantially abandoned their petition. Like what they are asking the court or the tribunal to grant is their alternative reliefs. In other words, they have expressly abandoned the main reliefs they are claiming. That on its own shows that the petition is not well founded.
Now, the federal government says it has scheduled a meeting with leaders of the organized labor on Monday to avert the looming strike action in the country. Minister of Labor and Employment, Simon Lalong, who stated this during an ongoing press briefing, explained that he had not met with the labor leaders because he did not get adequate brief from relevant departments before now. Lalong appealed to the leadership of both the Trade Union Congress, TUC, and the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, to prevail all its affiliate unions to shelve their scheduled 2-day warning strike and the planned total shutdown in 21 days' time. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Labour Congress in Niger State has accused the Umar Bago-led administration of excluding the civil servants and pensioners from the 5 billion palliative. The state chairman of the NLC, Idris Abdul Karim Lafeni, and that of the Trade Union Congress, Ibrahim Gana in Mina on Monday, rejected the 110 million announced by the governor as palliative for industrial unions, saying that exclusion of pensioners and civil servants had triggered tension and fear of negative effect on the working class. The organized labor directed all civil servants and pensioners across the state to boycott the distribution committee, demanding that 50,000 naira be paid directly to account of each of the civil servants and retirees in the state for 6 months, while the payee be suspended until further review of minimum wage.
On the strike generally, organized labor represents a certain sector of the society, and over the years, we have also include the masses of Nigeria that are also affected by this subsidy removal. So already, when we call off the other strike, there were some silent agreement that if that agreement had been implemented, we could have gone out of this issue we are suffering from. Then, unfortunately, the federal government did not implement even one of the agreement earlier reached.
The Department of State Services (DSS) says it has uncovered plans by some elements in parts of the country to set violent protests to discredit the federal government and security agencies over sundry socio-economic matters. The agency spokesman Peter Afunanya raised the alarm in a statement on Monday, but said the DSS has identified the ringleaders of the plot. He said the secret police instructed tertiary institutions, heads and vice-chancellors of universities to prevent their students from taking part in actions that could disrupt public peace. The DSS further stated that parents and guardians are required to caution their children and what to resist the temptation to engage in unlawful behavior or conduct. It warned that it will not hesitate to take legal action against the people and groups responsible for the sneaky schemes. Now, following the implementation of the removal of subsidy by President Bola Tinubu on May 29th, communities in Borno State, northeast Nigeria, have been experiencing hard times as prices of goods and services have hit rooftop. In this special report, Adamu Ngulde reveals that many residents in Maiduguri have been reacting to the situation, urging the government at all levels to come to their aid. Report.
Inflation caused by the removal of the fuel subsidy has hit many residents of Borno State in northeast Nigeria very hard. Before President Bola Tinubu announced the implementation of fuel subsidy removal on May 29, Modu Mustapha, a father of 5 who resides in Old Maiduguri, Jere local government area of Borno, explained that he used to spend 50 naira to buy a motorcycle from his house to the post office. We are really suffering. I hope the government can look into this and bring a positive shift because it is really not easy. Also, a measure popularly called Mudu of maize in the state, which used the salt for 700 naira, is now sold for 1,600, a development that has made it increasingly difficult for him to provide for his family. I can't afford to buy what I used to buy before. My income remains the same despite the high cost of living. I am just thankful for having an understanding family despite not able to care for all their needs. The price of petrol removed from 194 per litre to over 600 naira. Among those deeply affected by the ripple effect of the fuel price hike are parents, students, schools, market women, and motorists. The constant fuel price hike has made it increasingly challenging for transport operators to sustain our businesses, causing financial strain and desperation. In a bid to mitigate the challenges faced by citizens, Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum has raised the number of beneficiaries from 300,000 to 400 households. The governor stated that this is a result of the 5 billion presidential initiative received by the state from the federal government to alleviate the hardship and sufferings among people of the state. Professor Ibrahim Umara is an economic expert, advised the government at all levels.
If the government will come up with an alternative of supplying the crude oil either to Dangote, Kaduna, Wari or Fatako refineries, that this is going to be for domestic consumption, they will refine it and then the price will reduce back either at least just to 250 naira and it will be affordable.
51 cases of poliovirus variants were recorded in Nigeria from January to August this year, with Zamfara State having 21 cases out of these numbers, which was said to be because of the insecurity that made it difficult for health workers to access those troubled communities to administer the polio vaccination, which has raised concern to stakeholders. A reporter in this special report seeks to know the efforts of relevant stakeholders to reach those difficult-to-reach communities and curb the poliovirus variants in Zamfara State. The report.
Banditry in Zamfara State has not only crippled economic activities but also impacted on healthcare service delivery negatively, as some rural communities are inaccessible to health workers to provide essential services like administering polio vaccination to children. This resulted in a resurgence of polio cases, with 21 cases of polio variants recorded in the state. This is responsible for the spread of the poliovirus variants in some neighboring states.
Some of your people that do this vaccination, sometimes you find that they don't even make record of the vaccination. How many times are they supposed to do? What time have they done it? What time again they will do it and they will do it? Sometimes they cannot enter those villages. They used to go and dig a hole and put that vaccination. They will come back and say, yes, we vaccinated everybody.
Nura Madadun is a father of 10 children, and he does not see anything wrong in allowing his children to receive the polio vaccination.
My mom, she told me since 40 years, she take me and hospital to vaccinate me. So why now I have 2 wives and 10 children? And all my children, they vaccinate. They do well, they have well, they go to school, and then the brain is very wide.
An official of Zamfara State Healthcare Board, Kabiru Danja, speaks on effort being made to ensure that every child is vaccinated against the poliovirus variant and no one should be left behind in the state.
The attitude of health personnel, definitely we have to change our attitude. We are appealing them, let them fear God. If government is not seeing you, the government that are paying you, are giving you salary for that work, and even incentive, are not seeing you. The Almighty God is seeing you. So you shouldn't say that I have gone to social settlement, which is not true. You are denying the right of those children who you refuse to go and school.
Both Sanusi Usman and Kabiru Danja urged personnel who have been saddled with the responsibility of administering the polio vaccination to strive and ensure that they give every child and maintain accurate record keeping of houses and numbers of children that received vaccination in each community.
You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming off after the break, we take a look at how solid waste threatens the local economy. Details of these and more after the break. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and in case if you are just joining us, this is the news update on Trust TV, and here is a recap of some of our top stories. Presidential Election Tribunal to deliver judgment live on Wednesday, and federal government meet labor leaders over planned strike. Now to more news. Residents of Katsina State say indiscriminate dumping of waste is threatening their livelihoods and that of their local economy. The main mobile in this report takes us to the overflowing dump sites that are occupying a significant portion of the streets and highlight the urgent need for action. The report.
Abu Lama has been working as a mechanic for decades. His business is now under threat due to rampant dumping of waste in the streets of Katsina, one of the cleanest states in the country.
Mu dai gaskiya muna fama da wari ga ya ba tsafta wuri bai ma zaunuwa
When it rains, cannot sit here due to unpleasant smell. We have to change location instead.
Informal businesses, religious centers, and the health being of millions of residents is affected.
We have mosque close to it, and every morning you see children coming here to dispose waste or scavenging. It exposes them to various illnesses.
Cholera and flooding are a common example. Strategic dumping sites are overflowing with garbage, occupying a significant portion of the streets.
Shi wannan flooding ko kuma ambaliyar ruwa ni zan iya cewa kaman ba natural cause bane ba abin da yake wanda Allah ya kawo bane ba. Yawancin wannan abun mu muke jazawa kanmu. Akwai hukumomi waɗanda ya kamata a ce suna tsaftace hukumomin tsaftace muhalli haka da kuma gari. Amma yanzu zaka ga idan ka tafi daga nan zuwa can haka ba za ka rasa bola ba. Haka zaka ga ana tara bola.
The government says it's in a transition period that involves a lot of assessment and planning.
When this new government came on board, and it happens that Katsina State Environmental Protection Agency has experienced the change of leadership. He came on board with the zeal that he wants to do more than what the agency has been doing over time.
A visit to the Waste Management Agency. The reality is depressing. Waste management trucks are grounded that needs mechanical revival.
Things are in the pipeline. The only thing is that we have to follow all the bureaucratic system, and the governor is willing to put back, release funds for the repairs and upgrade of our trucks so that we can be able to operate optimally.
Until then, experts say issues of waste management of this magnitude, emergency measures comes first, then assessments. Jamil Mabay, Trust TV, Katsina.
Now, harsh economic realities, absence of love and changes in behavioral patterns are said to be responsible for abandonment of families in recent times. In Asaba, Jonathan Awenyayi seeks to identify the immediate causes and the negative consequences of this trend in action. Take a look.
Shelter is one of the basic needs of life. In Asaba, Delta State capital, residents have lamented that rent is exorbitant and way out of reach of the poor, thus making it difficult to access its essential needs. Residents who spoke with Trust TV opined that the low-income earners and even the middle class struggle to secure decent apartments. They also expressed dismay that most of the housing estates built by government were for the rich, as no civil servant in the state could afford them, while blaming the estate agents for being responsible.
Too much. Like I feel that government should look into it, because Asaba is a civil servant area. It's not, there's no big company or maybe oil company in the city or anything. It's just normal hustling. So sometimes the landlord, they will be looking for a responsible person in their house, but there's no responsible that can pay such amount of money. Like a civil servant that's earning around maybe 100,000 or 80,000 a month. How can that person afford a house of 1.5 million naira? So it's on the high side. So I think the government should look into it. So
these boys called Yahoo boys. These boys, they have the money. So somebody who is a civil servant, because Asaba is a civil servant town, somebody who's a civil servant may be pricing this particular thing for 250. A Yahoo boy will just come, say, Papa, just give me 800, I will pay, no problem. So with that now, who doesn't like good thing? So landlords aim these people, and with that, the cost of building is very, very high. The cost of renting is very, very high in Asaba. And I think government needs to do something, maybe by regulating the price or anything, if it's possible.
For the increasing house rents, The tenants called on landlords to consider the economic hardship bedeviling the country. They urged the state government to intervene in the housing sector to address the rising cost of rents in the state capital.
We are calling on the government to regulate the cost of house rent in Asaba so that it becomes affordable for the people.
Questions goes to the agents who parade themselves as agents, because landlord will put house for 200,000, they will make it 500,000, and they will say agency fee, caution fee, landlord agreement, this and this, all the packages they will just bring it together. It's here. This Asaba is a civil servant town.
And on the international scene, General Brice Oligui Nguema, who led a coup last week that toppled Gabon's 55-year-old dynasty, took the oath of office as interim president on Monday, promising to hold free and transparent elections. After an unspecified period, Nguema, head of the elite Republican Guard, led officers in a coup on Wednesday against President Ali Bongo Ondimba, sign of a family that had ruled since 1967. The ousting came just moments after Bongo, 64 years old, was proclaimed victor in last month's presidential election, a result branded a fraud by the opposition. Dressed in the red ceremonial costume of the Republican Guard, Oligui also swore to preserve the achievements of democracy at the ceremony held before judges of the Constitutional Court. The coup leaders on Wednesday said they had dissolved the nation's constitutions, cancelled the election results, and temporarily closed the borders. Other countries have not acknowledged Oligui as Gabon's legitimate leader, and he faces pressure to spell out his plans for restoring civilian rule. And on sports news, a tense fourth-round match on Sunday night in Arthur Ashe Stadium at the 2023 U.S. Open. Jelena Ostapenko dethroned top seed and defending champion Iga Swiatek, simultaneously stripping the pole of her world #1 ranking. The number 20 seed solidified her head-to-head dominance over Swiatek, taking a 3-6, 6-3, 6-1 win to advance to the quarterfinals in Flushing Meadows for the first time and also extend her record against the Polish star to 4-0. The win makes Ostapenko the only WTA player to own 4 wins against Swiatek. After taking the first set handedly, a listless Swiatek found herself down to 1-4 against Ostapenko. And with that, we have come to the end of the Trust News Update. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and to join our YouTube live stream for more trending news and programs, as well as documentary. And bye for now.